Heya Cryptozens, it's 10 p.m. Pacific time. The date is October 10th, 2022. Welcome back to the Crypto Overnighter. My name is Nikodemus, and I'll be your host as we take a nightly look at the crypto, NFT, and metaverse space and the industry that surrounds it. Keep in mind, nothing in this show should ever be considered financial advice. The European Parliament Committee on Economic and Monetary Affairs, or ECON, and ECON is a much better name in my opinion. Anyway, ECON has approved the Markets in Crypto Assets Framework, following a vote from the European Council, or MiCA. Stefan Berger is a member of ECON, and he announced the results in a tweet on October 10th. At that point, he confirmed that the committee had accepted the MiCA legislation. Now, we've tracked this package's movements through the EU Council, the European Commission, and now the European Parliament. And along the way, we've been fortunate enough to see some really unworkable bits of this bill get stripped away. And so it came to pass that members of the Parliamentary Committee passed this framework with a final result of 28-1, which is a total landslide in favor of this historic legislation. And I would guess a fair indicator of how the bill will get along in the next step, that of a full European Parliament session vote. And so MiCA, if passed, would create a regulatory framework for crypto among the 27 members of the European Union. So, what's next? Well, they're going to check the text again for legal and linguistic issues, and then the Parliament votes on the latest version of the text. Assuming that vote passes, MiCA gets published in the official EU journal. If passed, that publication is expected for next spring, which means policies could go into effect starting in 2024. In MiCA's text, it said, quote, "It is important to ensure that the European Union's financial services legislation is fit for the digital age and contributes to a future-ready economy that works for the people, including by enabling the use of innovative technologies." And so what it does is let wallet providers and other service providers market themselves across the EU. That is, if they register with national authorities and meet the minimum requirements put in place to protect investors. Now, as far as the bill goes, it's been well received, especially in the Euro crypto industry. There are some concerns, especially where stablecoins are concerned, and questions of how these rules impact NFTs. That said, it is generally cautiously accepted as a good starting point. Maybe in the US, we'll start to get our act together and catch up. Because the EU has been busy on the topic of crypto lately. EU legislators have also supported a separate law. This law would identify participants in crypto transactions. It's called the Transfer of Funds Regulation, and it wants to put in place compliance standards for crypto assets, especially where money laundering is concerned. Staying with Europe here, the European Commission wants to study, quote, embedded supervision of DeFi protocols, specifically those on the Ethereum blockchain. So what they want to do is develop, deploy, and test technology that's designed to supervise the DeFi space. And researchers would then collect that data, and that data would be used to monitor DeFi transactions in real time. It's expected that this project will cost €250,000 and could take up to 15 months to complete. Now, staying with the international focus, there is another study designed to give regulators greater insight into how crypto transactions are conducted. So here we have the Organization for the Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD. They published their own framework, and this framework is designed to give tax authorities greater insight into crypto transactions as well as their users. And so they said that they were planning on presenting something called the Crypto Asset Reporting Framework, or CARF. They want to show this off at a meeting of G20 finance ministers and central bank governors here in a couple of days. And so they're looking at things like unregulated exchanges and custody providers. And so what this framework does is set up an automatic exchange of information on crypto transactions between different jurisdictions. Because according to the OECD, the issue is that the G20's common reporting standard, crypto transactions just don't fall under that standard. So the OECD believes that this increases the chances that crypto will be used for tax evasion. And this framework would have carve-outs for, quote, assets that cannot be used for payment or investment purposes, as well as those already required for CRS-related reports. Matthias Cormann is OECD's Secretary General, and he was talking about this proposal when he said, quote, today's presentation of the new crypto asset reporting framework and amendments to the Common Reporting Standard will ensure that the tax transparency architecture remains up to date and effective. And so this CARF would go after any digital assets that rely on a crypto-secured distributed ledger or something similar to that. That means anybody offering crypto exchange services on behalf of someone else, they would have to report under this framework. And I swear, it's got to be intentional how obscure they make the language in these things. Even the explainer text, you have to read it backward and literally forward to make sure that it's saying what you think it's saying. Anyway, CARF would require reporting on both the type of currency as well as the type of transaction, whether it was through a service provider or some other intermediary. A couple of months ago, in August, the OECD approved amendments to the Common Reporting Standard. Improvements like bringing central bank digital currencies under the scope of this reporting standard. Passage would mean that information on crypto exchanges would be shared between 38 different member countries, including the United States, Japan, and many European countries. Now let's take a look at Portugal, because they've been popular among crypto aficionados for some time now, because Portugal is well-known crypto tax haven. No taxes on crypto for individuals. But we've known for a while now that that could change at any moment, and it appears that it's going to do so. Because a budget draft proposal was submitted to Parliament, and it calls for taxing capital gains on crypto assets that have been held for less than a year. This was submitted by Portugal's Finance Minister, Fernando Medina. Now, let's be clear. Portugal already taxes capital gains on crypto holdings as a part of a business or professional activities. However, individual investors were exempt. Under this new draft, that would change. 28% tax on capital gains on cryptocurrency assets you've had for less than a year. Now, once you're past that first year, you're fine. Gains on crypto held for more than a year just are not affected. Now, in addition, under this new draft, crypto mining would count as income. Having crypto issued to you would also be considered income, and as such gets taxed under this new tax plan. Like I said, we had reason to know this was coming. Medina said so last May. He told the Portuguese parliament that crypto would soon be subjected to taxation. And I know it's going to be unpopular, but I think this proposal really does try to treat crypto just like any other industry in the country, because that 28% is the standard capital gains tax rate. Now, this is just a draft for the moment. It still has to make it through their legislative process to become law. And then back over to this hemisphere in the country of Brazil, because according to their tax authorities, over 12,000 Brazilian companies have reported purchasing crypto in the month of August. That's a record according to Receita Federal, their tax authority. The previous record was in June when 11,797 companies bought crypto-related assets. As we like to do on this show, let's take a look at the numbers. At the time of writing, the global crypto market cap is $927 billion. That's down 1.54%. The top 5 cryptos by market cap are Bitcoin down 1.23%, Ethereum down 1.8%, Tether, USDC, and Binance Coin down 1.76%. Now, let's get away from policy and take a look at Binance, because their BNB chain has started up a DApp incubator program. So this program is focused around EU-based startups, specifically apps that are building for accessibility and scalability. This new initiative is focused on supporting European developers that are building and scaling dApps on the network. It's a 3-week virtual program, and participating Web3 startups that have at least one key member based in the EU can benefit. Projects accepted into the program receive mentorship from industry experts as well as Binance chain specialists. This membership covers things like tokenomics design and marketing strategies. And so there's going to be these meetups across Europe that are hosted by the incubator. These are billed as exclusive events in places like Paris, Berlin, Warsaw, and London. Zoe Wei is the senior business director at BNB Chain, and according to her, they're looking to support Web3 startups from Europe that put accessibility and scalability first in their push for greater adoption. She said, quote, "Our objective is to guide European builders in making early commitments to these fundamentals in order to grow large user bases in the long term." So there are 17 organizations that have a regional presence. These organizations will be participating in the incubator in a support role for the builders. One of those is Jump Crypto. It's their position that sharing knowledge in the community will support the next generation of dApps. A spokesperson said, quote, "Crypto is a community, and we believe that knowledge sharing and collaboration fosters a greater, more resilient, a more advanced crypto ecosystem overall." So, if you are a qualifying developer, you don't have long. Applications opened today and will continue until October 23rd. The 3-week incubation period runs from November 21st to December 15th. Changing gears here, going from cooperation to crime. The main hacker in the transit swap heist agreed to a bounty worth almost $690,000. This information comes to us from Transit Finance. That the hacker, who they are considering a white hat hacker at this point, stole $23 million from the decentralized exchange. Known as White Hat 1, they're expected to return almost $2.75 million worth of Binance coin. And so, Transit Finance, who is the parent of Transit Swap, confirmed that White Hat 1 would keep 2,500 Binance coin as a bounty for the event. That 2,500 Binance coin has already been sent to Tornado Cash. So, if they hold true to their word and send the rest of the crypto agreed upon, they're in the clear. Transit won't go after them. Now remember, when we covered this last week, Transit Swap was hacked, and the hacker wasn't happy with Transit Swap's proposed deal. They said, quote, "If I attack other chains like FTM, Tron, Polygon, I believe I can get $100 million. With reference to past Nomad and Wintermute events, I should get a higher bounty than what I get now. It's not hard to suspect that this is your official backdoor, and you should be happy that the exploit was done by me and no one else." One of the reasons for their sudden cooperation might well be fear. I say that because PeckShield, SlowMist, BitTrace, and Token Pocket were all chasing him. Transit Swap said, quote, "We now have a lot of valid information, such as the hacker's IP, email address, and associated on-chain addresses. We will try our best to track the hacker and try to communicate with the hacker and help everyone recover the losses." And I think that's what happened here, because they said that they had already a lot of the information. I think they did communicate with this guy, and this guy got scared and realized that $690,000 is better than going to jail, and decided to call it a day. Well, I think we're going to call it there for tonight. I want to thank you, my listeners, because when you stop listening, I will stop talking. Take care of yourselves, but take care of each other too. We'll see you tomorrow night.